I'm Josef Haber from Flying Tortoise Baghuazhang. Since 2012, I've traveled twice a year from Portland, Oregon to the Temple of Heaven in Beijing, China. The trips last around 4 weeks and tragically take me away from my wife Kate and my daughter Fritz, seen here looking like a mutant slug baby and here like the beautiful girl she really is. Being away from the family is hard as hell, but it's the best way I've found to keep my kung fu growing, which makes my students happy and my school prosperous. On this, my 6th trip, I was joined by my old friend Ian Johnson. This trip began as the Beijing trips always do. We woke at 4:30, ate a quick breakfast, and walked 3 miles into the Temple of Heaven. At 7 o'clock, we were met by my master Ni Rohua. Ni Shifu is a 6th-generation master of Cheng-style Baghuazhang in the Liu Bin family. Ni Shifu is by far the most strict of my 4 main teachers in Beijing. He requires every movement to be absolutely perfect, and any mistake is met by immediate criticism and review. Ian learned very quickly that training in Beijing is an extra special kind of difficult. Fortunately, the food is amazing, and what isn't made better by rad food. The following day, we went to a mountain temple famous for thousands of cave-dwelling Buddha statues. The hike to the top was arduous, according to my iPhone taking about 138 flights of stairs. As is tradition, about halfway up, Ni made us stop for our daily Gong Fu exercises. Up until that point, we'd both been doing fairly well, but I think it's fairly safe to say that after half an hour of slow circle walking, our legs were spent. And then came the fun part, the vertical ascent to the top. When we reached the summit, we were completely taken aback by the view. It was absolutely stunning. A few minutes later, my friends and teachers began preparing lunch, which consisted of dried salted fish-type product, cheese substitute, crackers, and a crap ton of beer and baijiao, which unbeknownst to me had been snuck into my pack in the parking lot prior to the hike. Feats of strength predictably ensued, followed by an intoxicated and stumbling descent. Next, we visited some naturally occurring caves, which our friends said were absolutely awesome. They were right, though not, I think, for the reasons they had in mind. You see, in Chinese culture, normal-colored stalagmites and stalactites are just dull, and made far, far better with a generous helping of neon. Despite our every effort, we were unable to locate David Lopan. Jack Burton may just be SOL.
Now I'm looking for a pineapple, but I don't see. Oh, there's another door. Oh, it's too dark. Oh, there's one.
I see no pineapple.
The next day, it was back to Tiantan for more training. My Shiye, or grandfather teacher, Zhang Zhengyi, taught me the 2nd set of Sanghuan Paochui, or 3 Emperors Cannon Punch, and Ni Shifu continued to punish Ian for tragically being born bipedal. Then at 10 a.m., we started our lesson with Zhang Shuian. Zhang Shifu is a 5th-generation master of Liang-style Bagua and perhaps the nicest man in the universe. Niceness notwithstanding, he is also an incredible badass and is quite insistent that we be able to use our Gong Fu under duress and in combat applications. Later that week, we were asked to attend the Qingmen, or grave sweeping festival for our Bagua ancestors. The festival was beautiful, and Ian and I spent the day hanging out with our Cheng and Liang Bagua families. Throughout the event, there were many spectacular Gong Fu demonstrations, but this little girl was by far and away my favorite. Some white guy was also asked to do stuff. And then it was Wang Qi time. Wang Shifu is the 9th-generation Sanghuan Paochui banner holder and vice president of the Beijing Sanghuan Paochui Association. Last year, Wang Qi accepted me as a student, mostly due to my capacity to take a tremendous beating. Wang Shifu is a kind man, but pushes us very hard, and that night recovery acupuncture definitely saved the day. In the days and weeks that followed, we continued our regiment of waking up every day at 4:30, getting to Tiantan by 6:30, starting training at 7, and then completing our training at 2. We would then return home, eat a quick snack, and train again for an hour and a half before we would stretch for an hour, make dinner, and try to be asleep by 6. It was an insane regiment. Each day we averaged about 13 miles of walking, and each night we asked ourselves very seriously if perhaps we could have chosen a slightly easier life trajectory. And then it happened. The event that almost broke us. It wasn't some horrific training accident, nor Wang Shifu deciding that kneecaps were way overrated. No, no, no. It was Ni Shifu's 54th birthday party. And as his first formal disciple, I had to preside, which meant drinking. Stupidly. 3 hugs and a small vat of baijiao later, we wandered off, somehow eventually navigating our way home. The next day went predictably. And then, after 3 weeks of awesome work, Ian had to go home. Because evidently some people have real jobs. His trip was over, and I was set for my final week. The following day, my old friend Brian Leong arrived, and he and I began work in earnest on a documentary about Tiantan and the masters who call it home. What followed was a whirlwind 3-day shoot, during which Brian and I captured over 14 hours of footage, including 6 hours of interviews with my Kung Fu masters, regarding their history, personal philosophy, and martial arts. Brian left for the States, and I finally felt homesick. But time went fast, as it often does, and before I knew it, I had only 3 days left. I trained hard and finished strong. 27 days straight, no breaks. In the end, I had just enough time to say my goodbyes and muster the strength for one final demonstration at the Circle Mound, my absolute favorite place in the world. Exhausted, emaciated, and victorious, I returned home, and finally got the victory dance I had so long wanted. My family and a cheeseburger. The end.